Hey guys, it's Lawrence here, and this is the first video in a series that I wanted to do where I work on friendship bracelets and talk about stuff. So the first thing that I kind of wanted to cover with this video series was reading and writing, because I am somebody who does a lot of writing and not as much reading as I want to do. But yeah, I figured that would be a fun topic to talk about. First though, I'm going to talk about friendship bracelets a little bit. So, I wasn't really somebody who did a whole lot of friendship bracelet stuff when I was a younger kid. I didn't go to a lot of sort of traditional summer camps when I was little. I always, sort of went to, topical stuff if I was doing anything. So I went to, a science and inventing camp when I was in grade school, and then went to a camp that was at the zoo where you could sort of go to the zoo and learn how to feed the animals and raise the animals. We learned some stuff about biology, specifically animal biology, so zoology, which is appropriate because we're at a zoo, and that kind of thing. But I never really went to camps where you go out and you kayak, or you go out and you stay in a cabin, or you stay in a tent for a really long time. I didn't do a Girl Scout camp or a Boy Scout camp or a Jewish camp or a Christian camp or anything like that. I just sort of went to stuff that I was interested in, I guess. So friendship bracelet making wasn't really something that I got into through a traditional camp, which is where I would imagine that a lot of people learn it. I don't know if that's actually true. I probably got into friendship bracelet making more at a writing camp that I attended, and I didn't really, I learned how to make friendship bracelets at camp there. I didn't really start doing it seriously until, this week, pretty much. I really like the concept of friendship bracelets. I like the idea that you have something that one of your friends made specifically for you that you get to, carry around with you, and it reminds you of them. I have a couple of friendship bracelets on my ankle from a couple of friends that I made at the writing camp, and it inspired me to actually get into friendship bracelet making more, because it's a calming activity. And it's something that I think is nice, instead of going on the internet for a really long time, which is sort of what I've been doing when I take breaks, is doing that. And friendship bracelet making, I feel is more productive, because at the end of it I have something cool that I can give someone, instead of just having my eyes hurt and feeling sort of lost. Yeah, that's pretty much all I want to say about friendship bracelets. But in terms of not spending that much time on the internet, one of the other things that I haven't gotten a lot of time to do lately is reading. I don't know, I like escaping to other places, other worlds. I like getting to hear about other people's experiences, and I really like the fantasy genre, so it's not necessarily experiences anyone's actually had, but fictional experiences. I like being able to be there when somebody sees a dragon for the first time, that kind of thing. And reading is just fun, I don't know. It's cool. I haven't gotten to do it that much lately because I've been busy, and also I got into a bad habit of spending time on the internet because I thought it was easier to get off the internet than it was to stop reading, but it's about equally hard to do both, so I think I'm going to try to start reading again more. One of the other things that I really like about reading is that reading makes it so that you have, brain food, I guess. Something that one of my teachers said is that writer's block doesn't exist, you are simply empty. It's good advice. It's writer's block it's not a physical thing that's happening inside your brain where there's all these great ideas and you just can't get to them. It's just that you haven't filled up your brain with enough experiences in order for your creative side to be able to take those and rework them into something that would be cool to write about. So if you feel like you don't have anything to write about, it's probably not you, if that makes sense. It's just that you haven't been putting anything into the machine, so nothing is coming out. I don't know if that's a good metaphor. But writing, sometimes I read books, and right in the middle of reading a book, I just feel so creative. I feel like I want to write something right then. It's words are bursting out of me because I've been taking in all of these words, and that's a great feeling. Feeling really creative like that is one of the best feelings in the world. You get it by doing something else that's enjoyable too. You get it by writing. It's not you know, sometimes you get like good feelings from like doing like sports or something, like exercise. I don't do sports. Exercise, like if you exercise and then, you know, you're like, yeah, sore and tired, but you also know that you're getting stronger, and that's a good feeling. It's reading, you get a similar sort of feeling of like you're gaining something, but you also don't have to like exercise. So I don't know, I think that's cool. I guess in terms of writing, something that's been kind of cool for me personally is that you can really, like, you can transition from one thing to another thing and take some of the traits that aren't necessarily great in one thing and they're really good in another thing. This is sort of abstract. I used to do like exclusively prose writing, and like it was fun. I did prose because I felt like poetry was sort of boring and I didn't go anywhere, and I didn't think it was interesting, and I didn't like reading it because I didn't feel like it did anything. It was just sort of like a bunch of words together. And then I went to writer's camp, and I heard the poetry that people were doing, and it was like incredible because it was, well, what I heard was slam poetry first off. So like slam poetry is incredible even if it's really bad slam poetry, but just the cadence of the words, and it's like a song sort of, and it just, there was so much meaning, there was so much emotion. Like you get loud, you get soft, you get all of the just like emotional resonance and emotional value behind everything that they were doing. And a lot of people were talking about topics that were super important to them, like mental illness, or like having a hard time with their sexuality, or having a hard time with other people not accepting or understanding or being able to like deal with and be adult about their gender or sexuality. And it was, it was like a cool way to see into someone else's mind and understand things that other people are passionate about and like sort of get passionate about them too. And I got that same feeling that I get when I read a really good book, which is this feeling of like, wow, that was incredible. I feel really inspired and I want to create something else. And every time I left, I just felt like I had all of this inspiration inside me that I could like write anything, and I could do anything because of all of this power that I'd gotten from listening to poetry, which is like really cool and something that I feel like a lot of people don't understand and don't get to experience. And I think if everyone got to like experience a lot of different things in terms of just like general life, but also in terms of like art and writing and poetry, that you might find stuff that surprises you. Like maybe you would actually really like poetry even though you think that you hate it because you just haven't found the right type of poetry yet. And I think that having that feeling, that inspiration, is something that like everyone should be able to have in their lives. Like that's something that you're entitled to, is like being able to feel really good because like a piece of art made you feel that way. That's my like vaguely deep thought for today, I guess. But just, yeah, people have the right to feel inspired. People have the right to read cool stuff and hear cool stuff. And I mean, slam poetry is also something that I haven't revisited as much as I could. So I'm kind of excited about the fact that there's all these different things that I can explore too. But I'd love to write things that are more slam poetry-ish. I need inspiration. I need to have life experiences and real feelings, because you have to have real feelings in order to write slam poetry. You can't just like write it if you feel bored and unfulfilled. I mean, I guess you could write about that if you're like angry, but you have to have some genuine emotions to write it because it's such an emotional art form. But it's also really hard to write about your feelings and things that happen to you and make it fancy, because that's one of the things that I was trying to do at camp, was that I tend to write in abstractions. I'm somebody who puts out their true feelings in writing by covering it up with language so that nobody else can really understand what I'm talking about, so that I can talk about something and be as truthful as possible about it, describe my emotions as closely as I can to like what I'm actually feeling, but like in a way that doesn't necessarily like let other people know exactly what's going on with me. I guess as someone who's used to being kind of a private person, that's maybe the safest way that I felt like I could do it. And that way also, I like the fact that other people can sort of interpret things and like get their own stuff out of it. Like maybe I'm writing about how I like had a friendship that wasn't that great, but what you're getting out of it is that your ex-boyfriend was awful to you and you're suddenly realizing you should have broken up with him a lot sooner, or there's something else that resonates in there with you. I don't know why that was the example I used. But you know what I mean? Like you can get things out of it that are things I didn't put into it, because the artwork belongs to anyone who listens to it now. Sort of like Harry Potter. Like there's a lot of themes in Harry Potter that JKR put into it, and there's a lot of themes that JKR didn't put into it but sort of like accidentally snuck their way in there anyway that mean a lot to a lot of people. You know, even if it's not explicit, things that are in something can mean a lot to people. Especially if it's an experience that really shaped their life, or if it's something about their identity that's really important to them. So I like writing vague poetry. I think I maybe could also get more out of it if I learned to write poetry that was less vague. So I'm gonna work on that, but I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with dealing with your problems, but also sort of making sure that you're safe, and you know, you don't have to talk about everything completely explicitly either. It's okay to like say things in an indirect way so that you can share them with people and not have to worry about getting back to people if you're writing poetry about like a bad experience you had with somebody. Yeah. That's kind of all I have to say about like writing and poetry and stuff right now. I mean, I have a lot to say in general because writing is so good and poetry is so good and prose and whatever. I guess one more thing that I could mention about my writing is that I have really different styles when I do poetry versus when I do prose, and I think maybe that's part of why I didn't do poetry for a long time, because I sort of just wrote in a bunch of different prose styles without realizing that some of them were more conducive to poetry than others. My prose tends to be more humorous. Like there's a lot of, I really like puns, really like real bad puns, which I'm sure that my friends don't appreciate. But I like puns and I like wordplay and I appreciate sarcasm and like, I don't know, just funny stuff is good. So I put a lot of that into my prose writing and not that much of it into my poetry, unless I'm doing like something that has a lot of rhythm and has a lot of beat and rhymes in it. But it's like, it's different. It's, you know, wordplay, not puns. And my poetry tends to be a lot more like serious. I write a lot of love poetry for someone who's not in love. I don't know, I like it. I like affection. I like love. I like talking about warm feelings and cuddling with people in hammocks and whatever. And I mean, you know, sometimes I write about stuff when I am in love, but then it tends to be about a specific person. But like, I don't know, I like love. I like writing about it and making people think about it and feel it. It's a good time. But so I used to write prose that was either exclusively dialogue or was exclusively like description. And so with prose I can do a lot more dialogue, and with poetry I can do stuff that is actually mostly description and it's not like weird. So I think that's like a cool thing that I discovered, is that if you have a tendency towards doing a certain type of thing, you can find a genre that like tendency is normal in, and then if you like your writing style and you don't really want to change it, you can just sort of write in that genre for a while and then try to expand into other genres. Or you could do something cool and write like a different style in a genre that doesn't normally have that style. You could write a murder mystery entirely in poetry. But yeah, just write stuff that's cool. You can write stuff that's genre bending. You can write stuff that's not. Writing is pretty free, and anything that you do in writing is going to be pretty rad, so, you know, go out there and write. Thanks for listening to my ramblings and watching me make this friendship bracelet. Hopefully I will finish this friendship bracelet in the next couple of days, because I have a bunch more that I have planned out to, like, make, but regardless of how many I finish, I will be back with this series. I'll be back making friendship bracelets and talking about stuff some other time, hopefully. This is Lawrence, and I hope that you guys have a super sweet and awesome day, and that you have a really fun week and enjoy yourselves, because it's the summertime. Bye!